Hey, just going to share with you a little bit of a speech from one of the best speakers in the history of the world. I know that's a bold claim, but wait till you hear this and tell me if you recognize who it is immediately by paying attention to the way this man uses certain words to bond a nation. Check this out. We may not agree on abortion, but we surely can agree on reducing the number of unwanted pregnancies in this country. The reality of gun ownership may be different for hunters in rural Ohio than for those plagued by gang violence in Cleveland. But don't tell me we can't uphold the Second Amendment while while keeping AK-47s out of the hands of criminals. I know there are differences on same-sex marriage, but surely we can agree that our gay and lesbian brothers and sisters deserve to visit the person they love in the hospital and live lives free of discrimination. So he goes on here, and I'm reading this book right now on Obama's secrets. This man is so amazing. And so despite your political views, whether you love Obama or just hate him, he is an amazing orator. And the way what he did, it's really amazing that most presidents have a pedigree. There's some kind of, they're born into it or they got some connections. This guy, his father left it too. He's got an amazing story. He really is the American dream about how he did what he did. Again, love him or hate him. I don't personally agree with all of his politics, but I do like Obama. I think he's a great speaker. I think he's a good man. I think he's a lot better than the two folks that we have running right now. And again, that's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. So there's something that he's doing here as he's bridging the gap from people that are with him and against him, Republican, Democrat, independents. He's doing some things here with this juxtaposition of viewpoints where we have differences and then he bonds in commonality. And he has this inflection there. So there's something that I want to just touch on here very briefly that I'm going to touch in very deeply in my course. But, you can read the book. This book has been really great for me. You can see the authors there. They actually live here in Northern California, Landon. Thanks for connecting me with these folks if you watch this. So there's something called perceptual positions. And Steve Linder recognized this to me in his NLP course a few months ago. And there's an exercise that we did that was so powerful for me. In our group, there was not a dry eye. It's tears just poured out of me. More on that later. But for now, just know that we have these perceptual positions, meaning there's a position in which we perceive. And so the first perceptual position is obviously you. The first position is your position when you see, hear, and feel everything from your own perspective. And that's what you've been living. So you've been in that position your whole life, and that's where you probably mostly spend most of your time. The second position is the other person's perception. When you see, hear, and feel things from the other person's point of view, you put yourself in their shoes. Makes sense. Then there's the third position. When you see things from the outside, from the perspective of the fly on the wall. You see all sides, you remain uninvolved, and you are able to analyze the situation in an unfettered and creative way. Think about that. And here's Obama. Here's why he's so great. And if you are a leader, if you own a company, or if you're a salesperson or an influencer, if you're a parent, it might be really good for you to pay attention to this one and perhaps even get this book or watch some more of my videos. I'm going to be going very deep into this content just for fun, and in some things that I'm teaching in a Facebook group. But know that I'm going to be doing a lot of this on my wall. So this is the one, the fourth position. This is for you. Here it is. Here's the money shot. Fourth position is the mediating position. You can experience this position only after having experienced all the others, because it unites all the aspects that all the positions have in common. This is the position that characterizes mediation processes. So, he knows basically how to put himself in the other person's shoes and adeptly use the second perceptual position. This skill, which is the basis for human empathy, is one of the most effective skills for persuasion or for mesmerizing people for leadership. So it's really understanding and appreciating someone's world, which if you go back to the last video that I just did a rant on in that, and really our ability to connect to ourselves, to other people, to understand and appreciate someone's world, not just where they feel judged. Because if you're not connecting with people, they'll feel judged from you. And judgment is an interesting thing. Even if we say, somebody's great, well, that's still a value judgment. Think about it. It's interesting listening to my friend and another mentor that I consider a very good friend, Scott Humphrey. If you've talked to Scott, and if you're in this company, Tony Robbins company, you have, no matter what you throw at him, you could say the most terrible thing. He's such a beautiful man, but he always says, "Well, here's what's great." Or he goes, "I appreciate that. Here's what's great." And I say these things also. So you want to have this condition, The difference when you can see somebody, I've seen trainers, speakers up there, they kind of go in their head. As Tony says, when you're in your head, you're dead. So you need to train this stuff. You need to have these automatic responses in difficult situations. You train that thing, Somebody comes with the craziest freaking thing. I really appreciate that. I understand that. Here's what's great about that. I noticed that. So, and also saying these pattern interrupts, it allows you to give some time to think about what your response is going to be, and to what I always do when somebody comes at me with this kind of energy, to be empathetic and understanding, as we learn about in this book, is to break the pattern, to make somebody feel heard and seen and appreciated, like you've really noticed them. And then I say that's great. I acknowledge it for what it is. I don't always say they're right, because sometimes they're not right. Sometimes if somebody really needs to be right, I just let them be acknowledged and feel heard. And then I'll often bring up a question. I'll say, and that brings up a question. By the way, I'm thinking of what the question is going to be as I'm doing all this. And so you want to have these pauses in your communication. If you watch Obama speak, if you hear this man, he's obviously thought about, and he lets things land. And there's this beautiful, poetic way that he communicates what he's doing, and the words, and his ability to unite a nation. It's like our first black president, and his story. If you read Audacity of Hope or any of these books about, his grandmother and everything, he used all that, what's called a core story, to help him get elected. He used a lot of things, very, very brilliant speaker. And so I think there's a lot you can learn from him. I think there's a lot you can learn from this book, but if you don't want to get it, I'm going to be sharing all of Obama's secrets on this page. So anyway, I hope this has served you. Hope you got a couple nuggets out of this. Don't just hide the nuggets inside of your house. Go out there and use them. Give them away.